Okay guys, so this is my wall of fish. I have a 120-gallon tank, a 25.5, and a whole bunch of 10s. In my first video, what I've done is I've linked all 5 tanks together to drain the water out. Great idea. Unfortunately, when everything was done, everything was complete, I had to retest, and on the third retest, at the end, when everything was filled up, one of the tanks started losing water, and I'm like, ooh, why? Well, it's because of the tubing and the gravity. So I'm sure there is a way to do it, to link it a different way. But anyway, let me show you what I've done so far on my fish wall to automate it a little bit for water changes. So let's start with the top here. So for every single tank, I have a water pump in every tank to help drain out the water. And I have a power bar where I simply flip it on and off, and the water comes out through this tubing here. Now, originally in the other video that I removed now, I did not put the tubing up higher, so I zip tied the tubing for every tank to the top, just in case it falls out of the holding spot right here. And if it does fall out and you don't have it tied up at the top, gravity will take the water out of the tank through the tubing. So I don't want that disaster for anyone. So I figure, stay safe. I'll redo the video, and this is the proper way for me right now. And anything I want to automate from now on would be through these hoses that are nice and safe, and they don't backfill into the tanks or into the other tank. So that's the idea. I'll show you guys really quickly how cool this is. Let me just grab a cup here. So what I have done is I've put I'm trying to do this as easy and as cheaply as possible for anyone that wants to have a row of tanks in your home, and you want to do it, and you want to not spend a ton of time water changing. You don't want to spend a ton of money. So I'm trying to kind of show you guys video by video my fish, as well as some things I've done. So the first thing I've done is I've put sponge filters in every tank. Now a sponge filter only connects to the air intake, so the air pushes the dirt through the sponge into the sponge. Very efficient, saves you a lot of electricity. All you need is an air pump that pumps in the air, and you need that anyway for your tanks. So putting it on the sponge filter was the next best thing, right? You have 2 for the price of 1. You basically have a filter and an air intake for the price of 1. So that's the first thing I've done to all my tanks on the wall of fish, except for the 2 little 5 gallons for the betas that I have. And this guy is going away, building his nest. Pretty cool beta there. So you can see the big sponge filter in this tank. I have one in the 120 gallon as well. But going back to the pumps, let me see if I can do this. I'll show you guys. I'll put this little this is just tubing attached to a water pump that I have hidden behind my decorations. Let me see if I actually have a water pump I can show you guys, because I did hide all of them in behind the decorations. I think if we go to this side of the tank, you can see there's a water pump there. It's a really small thing, and it just connects to the tubing, and the tubing comes out right here. So if I put a cup there and I turn my power bar on, you can see that the water from the tank is coming out. So why do I do that? Well, because I run a hose, a little tubing, like a really long tubing, to my washroom, right? And this is actually draining my 120 gallons right now. So it's the same idea here. I just hook up the long tubing when I'm doing a water change in here, and I drain the tank. And I can do that for any tank just with a flick of a power bar button. So the safety thing that I wanted to show you guys is just, I have two loops, two tie wraps. One's just a loop to hold the tubing, and the other tie wrap is just tightening it to it. So let me zoom in and show you that. So this is the loop that I have tied up, just a loop. Then I put the tubing through here, and then I tie this tubing that comes out here up there. So if it ever falls out of here, let's say it does, it'll still be safe, so it won't spill out any water, because water doesn't normally go up against gravity, right? But if you didn't have that tie wrap and your tubing was just coming out of the tank directly, gravity will pull the water through and you'll have a major leak going. So that's kind of why I wanted to stay away from the last video. I pulled it because I think it's better to show you guys a safer way of doing it. Now I'm doing this to help do water changes really quickly, and I don't need them. I can do them individually, whichever one I want. I don't have to do all 5 at the same time, which I was trying for the last video, but yeah, this is the updated video. Works great, big time saver. Just to have a power bar where only one thing is plugged into it is the power pump, and you only use it maybe once a week to do maybe 50% water change or 60% water change, right? So that's step number 1. I do have another cool thing I mentioned earlier, is I have a hose connecting here with the water intake. This hose pushes in the water, and I have an extender hose here, a flue valve that actually came with the filter, but they're really good because they have a rubber connector that is super tight and doesn't drip water, and you can do that onto the hose as you saw at the beginning of the hose, or in the middle, as I have 2 of these hoses connected, so I can get into every tank and add water. So this hose is actually connected to a water source, which is controlled by another big pump. I have all my power bars always up high. Yeah, I really think this is the way to go to do water changes. Have something really simple ready, instead of having to go into the tank and siphoning the water out, taking buckets out all the time. I simply plug it in here, attach a little tubing, run it to the washroom, and when it's done, I just simply power it off and put the tubing back up, and that's it. And the water is drained out. And then for the ease of filling the tanks with water, I'm running this hose as I mentioned, where I can just put fresh water in everywhere. That's the fish room, guys, and that's the upgraded version, and you can see I'm draining the water out of the 120 still through this little tubing. It's going to take a long time, but it's very gentle. It doesn't disturb the fish. I can watch 2 movies, come back, and it's ready to go. That should depends on the power of your pump, right? So I know my pump and I know how much time. Yeah, that's pretty much the update. My little convict cichlid babies, they're still here, they're growing. I had a ton more, but I ended up using some as feeders because my convicts are breeding every single week now. I have like 300 fry convict fish like every week. It's extremely crazy to keep up with. So my big guys, for right now, do get them, but some of them I'm growing out. I want to see how beautiful they will get. So that's the update on the convicts. They are extremely aggressive. The only way to stop your convicts from breeding in your tank is to have like 4 of them or 5 of them together. That way they eat, they fight and eat their own offspring. Otherwise, if you have a breeding pair like I do, it'll just keep breeding like 200-300 little fry baby fish every week. It's insane how crazy they spread. And so what I've done, there was a female beta fish also. I might as well give you guys a little update on my fish room. There was a female beta in here and a female beta in here. For this female beta that's in there, I've added the male. They do love each other. They're very calm together. Although I do not know where she is hiding right now. Maybe behind the ear of the elephant. I'm not sure. I have to check. But they were doing very well for a couple of days. No fights. He's building a huge nest. Probably another breeding pair that's going to keep on breeding here. So I don't know what I'll do with all that fry either. Now in this tank, I have this female beta, which was in the little tank right there. She got a home here now. She's absolutely stunning. Look at her. I love this female beta. Just a regular beta, nothing fancy, but amazing colors on her. And she has a twin tail male beta in here that she's with. And I don't know where he went. He's also playing somewhere in the back behind the filter somewhere. You can never find them when you're looking for them. Oh, I think he might be coming out somewhere. Nope. Oh, yeah, there he's been sleeping in the mouth of the dragon, guys. That's amazing. What a shot. I have to watch that when I do my water changes. He's in the mouth of the dragon. Holy jeez. Okay. But he's a really nice, beautiful male. Depends if he's in the shade like right now or if he gets into the light. He's pretty cool. So let's see if we can get a better shot. No, he's just gonna play with us, mess with us. All right, so that's that tank. I'm gonna add some tetras or something in here in case these two breed. I don't need all these fish breeding, so I'm gonna put some tetras in there like these guys, which are my Buenos Aires tetras in this tank. And I love the rockscape in this tank. Very natural looking. And again, there's a filter and a pump in the back, so I'm hiding all that with decorations, and so far that's looking pretty good. These guys would actually make nice babies because they're pretty much the same color. They're really cool. I'm as you can see, I'm putting in betas in a beta male and female in almost every tank. I'm gonna try and do that. I love to watch them. They're very beautiful. I might keep a couple fry just to see what comes off these guys, but we'll see. Now these are the Buenos Aires. They're by themselves right now, but I do have a couple betas I want to put in, a beta male and a female I want to put in here as well. Next tank over is my 7 Cardinal Neon Tetras, and these guys are just by themselves. I always have a little sucker fish at the bottom somewhere, like a little pleco to help clean the poop and things like that, and they're doing great. So this neon tank, for now, I'm really trying to keep these guys by themselves. I don't really want to add anything to them. There's 7 of them, and I'm trying to see if they will breed on me. I would love to have a colony of these from my other tank. So doing some research on that. We'll see how that goes. This tank here, there, like I said, water pump and sponge filter all hidden by the decorations. This is all my guppy fry fish in here that I'm growing out. I have a ton of them. I keep some algae on here and some snails always. There's a lot of them everywhere, especially in the back because I was just doing some water changes here. So they are growing out, and I have these 2 10-gallon tanks where my guppies will go. All my guppies are doing well except one female guppy. She's pretty much sick. But there is always a ton of fry up there I have to collect and put into this tank, so I do collect the fry. They always sit at the top. That's why I keep plants and plastic decorations floating together so that they have a ton of hiding spots in there. And there is a cool male beta in here, and he's just a Dumbo beta male. He's red with white Dumbo fins. He's doing great. He has a really cool female in here somewhere as well. She may be in the back. She's really cool. She's white with a little bit of red on her. Marble, peacock, koi kind of. Oh, let me get this off. This was just a measuring tape I used for my water change. So pretty cool. I love the colors of these guppies. I moved and separated out my other guppies into this tank. This is now my tiger guppy tank. I have a ton of my own yellow tiger guppies I raised in this tank. No beta fish in there yet. And that's pretty much everything. Oh, there's that female beta in here. That is a nice big blue beta. This tank has a blue light on it. This is my elephant tank. And this is a white male beta with blue on him as well. Really gorgeous fish. And the tank I'm draining right now is 120 gallons, and it has my Oscar fish in here. This is like one of the biggest black angel fish you'll ever see. This guy is huge. He's in with these 9 and 10-inch giant fish like my Texas cichlid in here. Excuse the glare. He's just huge, this black angel, absolute beauty. But my experience with angelfish, this is the most aggressive species that I think there is. They end up killing each other. They end up killing other fish by knocking, like hitting them on the side. Even these big guys get hit by these angelfish. They're beautiful to look at, but yeah, you gotta give them a lot of space because they'll fight for it. They'll kill for space in your tank. Yeah, I think that's enough for an update and a little bit about what all these power bars are about. Jeez. And why is there a hose running through the middle? Jeez. Well, that's what it is, right? Just to help me out with water changes so I can have these pretty fish and maintain the water nice and clean. As you can see, I can do this weekly without, or every day if I want to, these water changes and keep these fish healthy. And yeah, if you get fish, I think the trick to fish keeping is clean water. If you have clean water and you put your chemicals to dechlor your water, then I think you can keep almost any fish, as long as you gain a lot of experience, because some also need some pH level adjustments. But that's a whole other story. If you go for anything that's not a common fish, then you'll likely be looking at something called a 7 pH, 6.5, 7 pH range. The more expensive fish usually are the ones in that range because they come from a different area. They're not as easy to get and they're hard to breed. Like I hate to give you guys an example, but most of the other fish, they do very well in like an 8-point pH level, which is great for me. And my tap water comes out as 8, so I'm perfect for these guys, right? If I want something different, I'll have to lower it with chemicals, right? But most of these tetras, most of these guppy fish, most cichlid fish, even betas, these fish are great in 8.0 pH level water, right? And yeah, I'm really psyched that my fish room is coming together, and I'll make this video a little bit longer than it should because I want to show you guys that I have to cut off the little bits of the tie wraps that are sticking out, but otherwise it's a very clean fish room. All my air pumps are in the back for all my tanks, so that they don't leak water if the power goes out. All my air pumps are at the top. All my power bars are above the ground as well. And for water changes, you saw what I did there. And I think these fish tanks are coming together now that I'm 100% confident in my water qualities. I can now get really serious about what to put into these fish tanks if I want to grow plants in them and so on, right? Because I've been struggling for a while. As soon as I got this rack of fish, I tried regular filters in the tank. Then I added heaters. Then I added air bubblers. Then I added the LED lights. There was a ton of power cables, a ton of cords. But I picked the right stand for this. It's a nice, tough, durable stand. I've cut down a lot of the power, so I only have power going into the LED light and only have power going into the sponge filter for the water filter. and it does the air for me at the same time. So I'm doing this because I don't want to have 1,000 power plugs plugged in everywhere, right? The only reason why you see all these power plugs is because I wanted to make the water changes really easy for me. And I wanted to put in a little water pump that costs 25 bucks. You put it in the tank, you use it once in a while when you're doing your weekly water change. You just hook up to a hose to your washroom. I mean, how hard is that to take the water out, right? And it comes handy when you have a lot of tanks. If you have one tank, you don't need the water pump. You can just do it with a hose and a bucket. It's fine. But if you have a lot of tanks and you're a fish fan like me, this makes it so much easier, so much better. And it's a gentle water change on every tank. So that's my advice to anyone that's new. Keep your wiring very clean. Try and keep your power bar above ground so in case your water spills, you don't get anything, any electrocution scenarios or anything like that, right? When the water hits the electricity, that you may have a power bar sitting on the ground, right? That's why I got a fish rack. That's why everything is nice and tight. And if you're into computers and servers, sort of think of it like that. You know, all the wiring in the back has to be clean, has to be neat. Fish tanks are like your computers, right? The only difference is there's water and there's life in these tanks, and you're responsible for these fish to make sure that they have food every day, make sure that they have clean water, light, and a filtration system and air. And most of us have a pretty good heated home, so most of us can probably get away without using a heater, but like a heating rod. But in my big tank, I do need one because there's a lot of water and it gets cold. So I actually have two hanging on the side of these heaters here. But in these little tanks, I don't need them. The temperature in my house always stays pretty good, and they always stay about 76 on all my tanks on their own without me having to put a heater in and having another electrical plug-in take up another useless device to me, because my water's already warm and staying warm the whole time. So that's pretty much it, you guys. Now you know my fish room inside out. You've seen every tank. I showed you guys everything here. I don't have I don't have backgrounds on these yet. I am working on something for that, so that there will be backgrounds, and it'll make I want to make every tank look like a fantasy land, right? And betas help out the beautiful fish, but you have to have something with the betas so that they don't breed on you. They breed pretty easy. They start blowing bubbles like this if they're alone in the tank, and the male and the female get along. He'll blow a nest bubble, the next thing you know, you have 200 or 300 fish in that air bubble nest. So yeah, now you know, guys can follow along. This is just my fish wall of fish, I call it. I do have another 55-gallon tank. Let me show you guys, hang on. So this is it. This is my 55-gallon tank. This is my pride and joy right now. I've worked a lot on this. It's a planted tank. It has some plants in it. It has Bosemani, rainbow fish, and 4 electric blue Jack Dempseys. You can see these little blue guys swimming around in here, and these rainbow fish, Bosemani rainbow fish in here. They're still new, they're still babies, juveniles, so they're still growing. So that's the other one. I have a 90-gallon tank here. This one has a ship. This is where my convicts keep breeding, and if I look really closely, you'll see what I mean. There is another couple hundred, and I already took out a whole lot of them. Like, I already took out a ton. There's another couple hundred bait fry fish in here. They just keep going. And then I have another couple tanks on top of these as well. I have a 30-gallon tank. We have a 125-gallon discus fish tank. And we have a 75-gallon big rainbow fish tank, which you guys will have to look at my older videos to see. So that's pretty much it about me, my fish. The rack is cool. I think it's really cool, especially now that I can just change water with a press of a button. Really cool. Anyway, good luck with your fish tanks. Let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.